I would do a little overview of my 1989 Supercharged MR2 today. Had people ask me questions about it and wanted to see it a little closer up and what I've done to it. So start with a little walk around here. Out on a little drive today. Up in the hills. So, I have owned this car for 20 years. I bought the car and it had 52,000 miles on it. It now has 152,000 miles on it. It is original paint. It is original interior. There are some modifications on it. Some of those were on it when I bought the car. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. So the first thing people always want to know is about the engine and power and any modifications that way. So this is a 1.6 liter twin cam 16 valve engine. It came from the factory with a supercharger, which is kind of tucked way down in there, hard to see it. So when I bought it, this had, you can see them right there, had TRD headers on it back when TRD actually made things for cars. It also has an HKS exhaust system, and the intercooler has been upgraded. I still do have the OEM intercooler. On hotter days in the summer, this makes a big difference. Cooler weather, I don't notice it as much. So I did install an oil catch can recently, so I'll see how that does on this car. But it is a mid-engine. As you can see, there's the rear axle, and the engine is mounted in front of the rear axle, classifying as a mid-engine car. So in stock form, it was 145 brake horsepower. Not a lot by today's standards. Most car magazines measured it 0 to 60 in about 6 to 6.5 seconds, somewhere in there. More than quick enough to be exhilarating and fun, but for those that are just interested in pure speed, not what some cars are available today. But this car with the modifications, though, I have had it on the dyno, and it is now at 177 wheel horsepower. So it's definitely got more than it came with. And there is also a previous owner also put a pulley kit on the supercharger so that it would produce more boost. So, which is where it's getting some of that. So that is the details on the engine. Being that this is a mid-engine car, it has a small trunk and it has a frunk, or a front trunk. So I typically keep my car cover in here, and currently I also have one of my T-tops in here. These are designed to actually mount behind the seats, but because of subwoofer and amp under my passenger seat, I find that this fits better here, and I don't generally use it anyway. But I do still have the original jack and mount I did install, this is a brace for the master cylinder. These cars were known to have a little bit of flex in the firewall, and so when you'd hit the brakes hard, it would actually flex and move the firewall. So this helps stiffen that up during hard braking and does wonders for it. So but everything else is stock there. Here is the trunk, and amazingly you can get a lot in here. So I always carry a little box of things. I've got my club in here and a sunshade, walkie-talkie when I'm with my car club. Actually have some spare things right now. I've got a clutch master cylinder in here and a slave cylinder. And whenever I go on long trips, I always take that just in case, because I had that happen to me one time. You know, and then the traditionals, some glass cleaner, little funnel. I have some ethanol treatment and brake fluid and stuff like that. So I do have a new gear shift cover that I need to install. I had ordered one and it was kind of fake leather and I didn't like it, and the blue didn't match. So this is much better. But as you can see, it's in very good shape back here too. So I do have collector plates on this car, as it is well over 25 years. This was made in November of '88. So what this, it's a 33-year-old model car, but this November it'll be 34 years old. So one thing I didn't touch on, and we'll start, so suspension is currently Eibach lowering springs, which dropped it about an inch, and Coney yellow adjustable struts. So I can pop this off, and I have my adjustment here. So there we go. For wheels, I have OZ 16x7 wheels on here currently. They are nice and light. I had them powder coated to match the paint. Slotted and drilled rotors. They are the OEM calipers that I just painted red. There. So I did that all the way around. I do have some new pads I want to put on this. These produce a lot of dust, so I'm trying to find something that produces a little less dust on these white wheels. So looking at the inside of the car, one thing that cars this age didn't have were cup holders. So I actually found this. It's actually called, the name of the product is Stupid Car Tray, believe it or not, but it's very handy. So it has room for a big cup of whatever. So okay, let's slide inside here. The most important feature is right there, 3 pedals. So I did mount a Garmin. It's kind of right up here in the corner of the windshield, and it sits perfectly right here, right below my light switch. So it's out of the way, I don't notice it, but it's nice to have that when I've taken on trips in the past. So over here there's a clock, vent, a little storage shelf here you can put small things on. I do have a dash mat. This is a velour mat, and by dash mat. So Floor mats have been a tricky thing because they're long gone, the OEM ones that said MR2, but I did find these are fairly thick and as close to the blue as I could find. Here is that. There's that thing. So a couple of big coffee holders. This one's got slots in it for a coffee mug or something like that. Little cubby holes here. This mat comes with it, so this lets things not slide around. I did recently install a new stereo in it, a new Kenwood. I had an Alpine in it before, and after 20 years, it stopped charging my iPod. So the one thing that drives me nuts on all these new stereos, though, is they don't work with older iPods. It's crazy. So only with the newer iPhones and stuff. So I can't. I had a bunch of old iPods, and I just leave it in the glove box. So there's a glove box here, and I actually have a wire, charging wire for it, because this has a USB on to the back and the front. So, but as far as gauges, so there's the gauge cluster. Tach, speedo, you've got voltmeter, fuel, oil pressure, and temperature. So down below here, there's power side view mirrors. So on the driver's side here, behind the key there's a button where I can use premium or regular fuel. I typically run premium, but if I'm in a pinch I can run regular. What it does is it changes the timing and you lose some horsepower, but if you're just cruising on a road trip, not as big a deal. So on the door, power windows, and power locks. There's a little cubby hole down at the bottom here that runs the almost length of the door, which is nice. So I do have the windows tinted, as you can see there. Up top here, I do have a dash cam. And T-tops are pretty much always off since I keep it in the garage. If I spin around, this is actually used for cassettes back in the day. So, and then there's a little cubby hole up here too, which can hold a bunch of stuff. So, and I will kick this up. Slide the seat up. So, and here is the T-top. So there's a little bracket that I can, or a little seat belt, kind of what I call it, that it can fit in. There's the little seat belt that's strapped around. Obviously last time I put it back there, I was lazy. Most of the time it stays there. I have the seat situated to where it's all the way back anyway, and I tilt it all the way back so it doesn't move on me even if it's not strapped around. But the only other thing I can think of is I did add a steering wheel cover around it just to give it a fatter feel. The steering wheels back in the day were smaller, narrower, thinner, whatever we want to say, but I like the fatter feel of this. But the leather on the steering wheel and the leather on the gear shift, though, look perfect. Even after 33 plus years, I guess gotta take care of stuff. So there's also a little There's a little ashtray, and there's a cigarette lighter there too. I did hardwire my dash cam and my Garmin, so I didn't have to worry about that. They're powered constantly. So that is my MR2. Fun little car. I absolutely love it. And there's, you know, the lines of it, to me, these still look great today. So I love this sunshade here, the way they did that, and when you're behind it. So it reflects and says Toyota to oncoming traffic behind you, so that's kind of cool. So don't see these anymore. Power antenna, it does work. Everything works on this car. Cruise control, everything. So that for the air. So one trouble spot on a lot of cars with T-tops are the moldings here. When I bought the car, it did have a small leak that I replaced these. Bought new ones and replaced them, so just keep them moist. Like I said, it helps having it in the garage all the time. So, but that is an overview of my car. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, please feel free to holler and ask away. Don't see as many of them on the road anymore, and a lot of the ones I do see are pretty beat to crap. So, but mine looks excellent. It's never been in an accident, so it's a clean car. It's got 152,000 miles on it, but she drives great and looks great. So thanks for watching. Hit that like and subscribe. I appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next video.